Hi, I'm Mark Aubin. I'm the autonomous finance leader for Aptitude Software. And today I have Jim from HSO, one of our partners.
Yeah, my name is Jim Bretschneider. I am responsible for the solutions team here at HSO, and that means I'm helping clients getting the best out of the Microsoft technology platform we offer.
Great. Thanks, Jim. From the Aptitude and HSO partnership, we've done a lot of talking about autonomous finance. We've been going to the market quite a bit about the types of finance transformation that can be put in place with a finance data management solution such as Aptitude Finapps, coupled with the expertise and solution capabilities of HSO. So I know recently we had an initiative get going and underway of a great example of how an organization is moving towards an autonomous finance state. I was wondering if you could spend a few minutes talking to us about that initiative.
Oh, absolutely. So the organizations in mind here is an insurance broker, and what happens in that space is there's a lot of consolidation. So there's big investments in consolidating the market into bigger entities. That means that these organizations are on a lot of different systems, a lot of manual processes, and they're really depending on servicing not only their clients, of course, because that's how they grow their business, but also the agents or producers that are actually selling for them. And because of all this consolidation, they have to often honor old agreements. So it's not where you can just go in and standardize compensation plans and processes and so on. You have to respect what's in place here. And that makes it incredibly complicated because there's no cross-the-board data estate. There's a lot of different systems. And I think with the approach with Finapps, it allowed us to ingest a lot of these different things and get into a more standardized, automated process. As an example, this organization had more than 50 people in AP alone just to run manual statements from carriers and so on. And so it's just an incredible time-consuming process. And as you see this consolidation, one of the reasons for consolidation is, of course, cost of doing business. You can reduce that. You're getting into bigger systems, more standardized processes, and you have to find a way to realize that.
So in your approach and then activity and convincing the proper way forward, I mean, there's a couple things that I heard from that we always look for finance transformation. When we did our survey, the Autonomous Finance Benchmarking Survey, a lot of CFOs were looking for incremental change to move forward rather than a big bang approach. And when you just started describing this client with lots of manual system, lots of manual process, my head immediately went to a big finance transformation project. Let's get everything operating at the same time. But that's a big bang approach. So how were you guys able to successfully convince the client that the right way to move forward? And why did they focus on the producer compensation piece?
Yeah, it's a very good point. And even if we've had this conversation 10 years ago, I would probably be sitting here and say you need to put all your stuff into a big ERP system, and with all the challenges around that. So I think the approach we took was materially different. We looked at the ERP footprint and then saying, hey, ERP needs to be what ERP is built for, relatively thin ledger, and then you can do the processes that belongs in ERP. And then we're front loading this with a sub ledger in Finapps, and then that allows us to have this policy producer level P&L, so they get all the data out of their systems that they're looking for without introducing all the complexity out of that you normally get into ERP if you do this. The fact that we're doing this also allows us to kind of do a little more kind of pearls on a string from an implementation perspective. When you're acquiring between 5 and 20 custom companies every year, right? You're never going to have all these entities on and this shared ERP anyway, right? So having Finapps as this subledger in the middle allow us to hook up these legacy systems into Finapps, and then the result gets into ERP, so you get all the benefits of being in a single ERP system without the complexity.
So this initiative gives them really two strong benefits, it sounds like. A is let's keep the producers happy and getting them paid quickly and accurately. It helps the finance team because they're no longer manually doing calculations, which are holding them back from providing greater value to their business. But also because it sounds like this brokerage was in such an acquisitory state and always bringing in new companies with different data models, they recognize that having a good finance data management platform in place with those calculation accounting capabilities gave them really the best of all worlds. It supports them for future M&A activity, allows them to quickly automate the producer compensation calculations, and it gives them that nice platform for other iterative finance transformation projects within their organization.
Yeah, 100%. This is actually one of these true scenarios. A lot of times when people are buying new business applications, they're saying, "Are we doing this so we can grow, or we can do some kind of future benefit?" What you're seeing here is, the business transformation they're going through will have, a very short payback here. They're gonna get their money back very fast. But not only that, the technology platform and their process are really hindering them in doing these additional acquisitions because they have a good business model. It's a very customer and employee focused company, and so there are a lot of acquisition candidates that are very interested in joining, but they only have so much capacity. So this was really a stumbling block or roadblock for them to continue that growth.
And that's a key thing, is whether it's Aptitude Finance or anything else, just companies should recognize that there are technologies on the market that allow for that iterative progress.
Yeah.
There's AI-powered finance capabilities within the Aptitude Finance solution that if they acquire a new company and the data happens to be whatever format, we can just absorb that data format and process it right into the calculations that are already established. It's actually going to make that team a lot more scalable, and they can grow further without adding much additional headcount, if any.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think, again, I'm probably dating myself here, but back in the day, you had to kind of pick between this integrated business application, ERP, or this best of breed where you had a services engagement to get all these pieces of software to work together. What we're doing here with especially the agreement that Aptitude have done around Finapps with Microsoft, so this is already pre-integrated. That allows you to not have these big integration projects. The software just works together, but because they are kind of isolated from a capabilities perspective, you can implement them one by one and realize the value.
That's awesome. Anyway, sounds like a great initiative. Looking forward to following along that journey of the initiative and see how that organization delivers or achieves real-time, immediate value from such a step change within their overall transformation program.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see the smile on my face. It's really great when you interact with customers and really feel that you can make a difference for their employees, for their customers, and the organization, of course.
Excellent. Now we need to go spread that story and the success of that, and looking forward to additional initiatives.
Likewise.